Our Bible word is Revelation 22, verse 17. And the Spirit and the bride say, Come. And let him who hears say, Come. And let him who thirsts come. Whoever desires, let him take the water of life freely. So this is the epilogue of the book of Revelation. So that's from chapter 22, verses 6 to 21. There are various sayings, about 13 sayings, and there's the angel that says something, Jesus also, John himself, and sometimes we're not sure who's speaking, but there are various sayings. And a big emphasis in this last portion, the epilogue, is this urgency that Jesus is coming. We also find it in the opening section of Revelation, this urgency of Jesus coming. Again, we need to place Revelation within its historical context for us to understand it. And it's about God who will conquer the forces of evil. In its historical context, that means the Roman Empire and all the evils that existed within it, the sorceries and idolatry, including emperor worship that existed at the time. So our author, he wrote to these Christians living in Asia, those 7 congregations, where this emperor worship was very strong. And he wants to warn them of a time of coming crisis, or that he saw as a time of coming crisis. So, and especially 3 things that stand out we must look at. It's the emperor cult and emperor worship, where people engage in it. Just recently, a new temple was built in Ephesus. There were already temples in other parts of Asia dedicated to the emperor cult. And he warns them, don't worship the emperor. Only God and the Lamb's worthy of worship. And the second thing that he warns about is the accommodation to the values of the Roman Empire. Because sometimes there were people, if you read like the letters addressed to the congregations, he speaks of the Nicolaitans, he speaks of the prophetess Jezebel. He also mentions those who are on the path of Balaam. It refers to Christians who said, it's okay to do a bit of idolatry, which probably involved attending banquets. And there, food and wine, it was dedicated to gods. And also sometimes there were other sins involved. And also what's probably connected to that is emperor worship also trade guilds, because they often made inscriptions and threw out libations in their meetings for the Roman emperor. So the seer also warns them that don't do that. Don't participate in these things, in the values of the Roman Empire, and also the economics of the Roman Empire. And thirdly, he sees another crisis in the form of future persecution. That Christians will be persecuted who refuse to participate in emperor worship. And he also encouraged them, be faithful, be strong when this happens. And also, again, we must look at the spiritual and ideological conflict that exists, because it was a conflict between God and the dragon, and the lamb and the beast. The beast represents the rule of the emperors. But Jesus is the ruler of the world. Of course, and God's the true God. He was sent by God, the Creator. There's also between the followers of the Lamb and the followers of the beast. The followers of the Lamb, they're the ones that are going to be persecuted, and many of them are going to be martyred. And there's the followers of the beast, in other words, those who participate in emperor worship. And it's also the values of God's kingdom versus the values of the Roman Empire. Again, this is about putting the book of Revelation in its historical context, the 90s AD. These Christians living in Asia who's immersed in the Roman Empire with this emperor worship going on around them. And if we read the book of Revelation, we must read it also through that interpretive lens. So I can understand why the author is writing and what he's writing. He's writing to these Christians for them to remain faithful to their Christian faith, to retain their testimony of Jesus, and do not participate in the world of the Roman Empire and its emperor worship. For this author, it's black and white. There's no in between. You can't even dip your big toe in the Roman Empire. You must completely withdraw from what the empire is about, including its economics, including the religion of the empire, especially civic life, because there were, in the cities, there were annual festivals dedicated to the emperor, and religion was public. Everybody could see whether you participated or not. Religion at this time was not some private or personal affair. So people could see you are participating, you are contributing to the well-being of the empire, because if you don't do that, the gods and whatever will come and punish you, the way they understood it. So you as a Christian, you will be seen as the enemy of society. But the author says to these Christians, do not participate in that world, because you are God's people. And you will face persecution, you will face martyrdom, but in the end, those who remain faithful, they will receive salvation. They will rule as kings and priests, etc. So we must understand this context of the book of Revelation, why he wrote it, and to the people that John of Patmos wrote it to. So within this overall context of the Roman Empire and the emperor cult, etc., the author also brings emphasis to the return of Jesus, because this persecution will happen imminently. The return of Jesus will also happen imminently. So there are purposes, or the two purposes that the author writes this. It's firstly, he's writing them to warn them, don't become complacent. Don't make accommodations to the Roman Empire. The second reason he writes is also to give consolation, that despite the difficulties that you're going to experience soon, Christ will come. And that's something that we can look forward to. And this imminence of Christ's return is mentioned various times in the book of Revelation. If we go to chapter 1, verse 7, we read, behold, he is coming with clouds, and every eye will see him, even they who pierced him, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn because of him. Even so, amen. Also in chapter 16, Jesus gives a warning. Behold, I am coming as a thief. Blessed is he who watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Also within our present context of the epilogue of our present Bible word, it also says there, behold, I am coming quickly. Blessed is he who keeps the words of the prophecy of this book. Again in verse 12, and behold, I am coming quickly, and my reward is with me, to give to everyone according to his work. And then lastly, in verse 20, he who testifies to these things says, surely I am coming quickly. So, yes, Jesus repeatedly saying, I am coming quickly. So, the author, John of Patmos, is warning people or believers, be careful, watch out, for these things are going to happen, this persecution, this difficult time. But with that, he also moves beyond that and says, look, Jesus is also coming. Look out for that. And that's something that all believers can look forward to.